Welcome to Strictly Ball Business. I am Alec. I am your host with the toast. That is Dalton over there. We're talking about NBA, National Basketball Association, where only the latest and greatest happens. The Timberwolves, my favorite team, are on a 6-game winning streak, but we're not talking about them today, but I just want to slip that in there. We are going to talk about the Mavericks, their continued success this year. They're now 40-26. We're going to talk about Ty Lue. Is he a Coach of the Year candidate? We're also going to talk about the Detroit Pistons, what sort of bright spots they have looking towards next year and the rest of this season. We're also going to talk about the Eastern Conference, just shake up as a whole, the entire construct of what we thought about that area has totally changed lately. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And we're also going to discuss what a LeBron versus Michael Jordan one-on-one matchup looks like. So not the classic debate of who's the greatest of all time, but just actually who would win one-on-one. We're also going to discuss a hidden gem who's been discovered this season, Tyrese Maxey, and he has been just pulling out of the mud by Daryl Morey. And we're going to discuss that a little bit. So first off, Strictly Ball Business here. We're talking about the Dallas Mavericks, their overall success lately. They are on fire. They're 8-3 since the trade for Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans to get rid of Kristaps Porzingis. And they're 40-26 overall, even winning some games lately while Luka has been hurt. I think it's been fantastic to see. And what we can look forward to is, a tough Western Conference as teams around them are getting better, but they are also continuing to get better. So I don't know, man. What do you think the limit for these guys is going to be?
Well, it's tough. So the limit, maybe, I mean, I can see them getting bounced in the first round. So like they've done really well since the trade. However, I don't see them going that far. Like looking at their even the stats just aren't there for why they're winning right now. I mean, a great half-court offense. That's what you get when you sign Jason Kidd. You get effective defense. Maybe not the best defense, but they don't have the best defensive players anyway. They're last in pace in the NBA, 30th in pace, 13th in effective field goals. So you got to wonder how they're winning. You look at it, they're like 8th for 3-point shooting. That's good. 4th in fourth quarter defense. So when the defense matters in the fourth quarter, they're getting it done. And they're tied for 3rd for turnovers per game. So they're that in like the good sense. So they don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. No, they're playing smart. I mean, they've brought in a great ball handler, a guy who can actually facilitate the offense when Luka's away. And Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's had some really good games lately. I think he's averaging close to 20 points per game, if not over that at this point. He's playing fantastic, and Davis Bertans has had a couple of games too, and I'm guessing that this is just a shakeup that they needed as well to get some chemistry kind of realigned in that locker room.
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons is Kristaps was struggling with defense, he's struggling with offense, and you get a guy who he showed in Dinwiddie that he showed that he just didn't want to be a wizard, I guess, because he's averaging 18 points a game off crazy efficient 53, 45, 71 efficiency from Dinwiddie. Picking up 4.2 assists a game. He's playing great next to Jalen Brunson. They don't have it's either Jalen and Luka or Luka and Dinwiddie. So they don't have all three on the same court. It's usually, I think it's only been a few minutes they've done that. But he's fit really well. He's shooting insane because they needed shooting. Also, Dorian Finney-Smith, huge role because he's coming up replacing that power forward, that main forward as Porzingis was, and he's also super efficient. 47 from 3, 56 from the field. And plus, he's just a great defender to have on a team like that. So it's just they're able to spread the floor completely. And their 3-point shooting is pushing them why they're better than they were.
Yeah, the blueprint to build around Luka is to have shooters. And they've done a good job of getting some guys who can get their own shot. Dorian Finney-Smith is their sharpshooter right now. They also have a great guy now who can facilitate the offense. A couple of them in Dinwiddie and Brunson. And I think they see bringing Dinwiddie in as a guy who can replace Brunson when Brunson likely leaves in the free agency. So I can see that more as like a future move as well. But here in the immediate for the playoffs, like, I mean, they're a lot of fun. It's a few guys who can each get into the 20 points per game any given night. They need some more talent in the big ends, but I think with as much talent as they have on the perimeter, they're going to get a lot of good looking shots. And it's just a matter of those big guys getting some rebounds and kicking it back out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they're 30th at rebounding. So that's really bad. And I feel like that's really easy to cover up when you get into off season. There's a lot of centers that are really good at rebounding. And it's a very competitive position, honestly. Like not in the fact that like there's so much talent there, but because so many people can fit a role that especially this role where you just have to go out and play some interior defense and rebounds. There's so many players like that can do that I'm not surprised that that'll get better in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I believe it. But, you know, we're talking also about their chances for this year. Like, they want to have a deep playoff run. And being last in rebounds is not going to help them. They're going to go against guys like DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert possibly, or Karl-Anthony Towns. Like, you don't know who they're going to face in the playoffs, but you know that they're going to face a big guy. So they're going to get eaten up in the playoffs, no doubt. And, you know, luckily for them, they're playing well enough. They're probably not going to be in the play-in, because if they were, I don't know if they'd have a good shot against a couple of the teams in there with big men.
Yeah, I mean, the way it is right now, they would see the Jazz. I don't see them winning that one, especially with Rudy Gobert, also Bogdanovic. They don't have the best interior defense. Their Jazz have a lot of weapons that can go off for 20 any night with Gobert, Conley, Clarkson, Bogdanovic, and obviously Donovan Mitchell. So I don't know if that's the matchup they don't want to see. I think honestly slipping would help them a lot, because then they would fall down. They'd probably face Golden State at this point are looking kind of rat. They haven't played well at all, and
Golden State's been slipping. I mean, honestly, they haven't had Draymond either. Once they get Draymond back, like, everybody assumes things are gonna just come back to normal for them.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, in general, I think they're definitely the softest of the top three.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I can see them just as easy getting bounced in the first round, the Mavericks. I think they're peak. I don't see them going to the conference finals. I see peak as second round. And I think they can get gentlemen swept.
I think the big X factor and the big main factor, whatever, is Luka Doncic. Like, he gets, you over the hump. Look at what he did with Slovenia in the tournament. Almost got them a medal. He was basically just like one shot away. He's taken the Mavericks to some exciting playoff games as well with his game-winning threes. Like, this is a guy where he's just got that it factor, and he could take them to the championship any given year, in my opinion.
I mean, he's the only threat because they don't have a second star. I don't see he can do everything he can, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think he has enough for this team this year. I mean, they made the flexibility, the cap flexibility. Now they can go out and sign more, get more talent in to complement him better. But I think in the playoffs, defenses get more aggressive, they get stronger, and I don't think their defense can hold up, even with Jason Kidd as the coach.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way their team's constructed right now, they probably, like, 99% chance cannot win a championship this year. But I'm just saying that Luka's like that 1%.
Yeah, he could do it. Yeah, if anyone was to do it, it would be him or LeBron.
Like LeBron led his team, to a championship when he had Eric Snow next to him and like Larry Hughes and Zildjius Ilgauskas. There's good players, but none of them were as good as any other players he had played with on other teams, really, as the main guys next to him.
Yeah.
So you never know. Like, I'm not saying Luka necessarily is LeBron or has the same level of talent, but if anyone in this league can drag a sorry team to the finals, I think it's probably Luka, because he's got his hands like in the offense as much as he does. I think, Giannis certainly maybe, but like his skill set's a little bit different than Luka. He does need good players around him, like good, solid role players, obviously, but so does everyone. So you never know.
Right.
But let's move on from the Dallas Mavericks. We're gonna talk about Ty Lue. Is he a potential coach of the year candidate? He's taken a sorry ass roster that doesn't have Paul George, or like for most of the season hasn't had Kawhi Leonard for at all this season. Obviously, they brought in Norman Powell recently. That's been great, but otherwise, it's been a lot of just like role players succeeding, like Reggie Jackson really showing out. Obviously, Luke Kennard's been a solid player for them. Um, Zubac, I've never been a big fan, but he fills a role, obviously. And like I said, they just brought in Norman Powell, too, and he's looking nice. So, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's even crazy because Norman Powell's only played 3 games for the Clippers.
Yeah.
Paul George has only played 26 games.
Yeah.
I obviously played 0, so.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I think like the expectations for this team was definitely, we're probably not going to make the playoffs without Kawhi, but we're going to try with Paul George. Like, you never know. He was top 3 and MVP candidate not that long ago. But then, he's pushing them to potentially look for the playoffs. Like when he was in there, they were like a top 6 seed. And obviously he's gotten injured and they've fallen a bit, but they're still firmly in the play-in. They're a couple of games at 500, above 500. And right now, as it stands, they would face off against Minnesota in the first play-in game. And if they lost that, they would face either the Lakers or the Pelicans in the next play-in game. So, I like their chances to get to a full series regardless, because they're definitely better than the Lakers and they're definitely better than the Pelicans.
Yeah, I can see them slipping into an 8th seed, and I think that's great. Great experience for all those young players. They've had a bunch like Amir Coffey, Hartenstein, and Terrence Mann, all hidden gems that just came out of nowhere and just produced for them. And they're a huge part of why they're winning. Obviously, you've mentioned a few of the guys before, but they're playing great, and that's a huge part of it. Also, they brought in 2 guys who instantly change a team, and Winslow and Covington, and Winslow with playmaking and Covington with defense. How it instantly changes the team and the offense in which offense, defense. So those 2 also help. But yeah, Reggie Jackson just exploded this year. Guy's going crazy. Still not shooting the most efficient 3, but he's awesome. He looks like a superstar when he's on fire. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, Ty Lue is one of the smartest coaches in the league. He gets the most out of his players. You can clearly see that with emergences from guys like Isaiah Hartenstein and Terrence Mann. Like, this is a player's coach. Players love to play for him. And like, he's just in general makes like the best lineup decisions and like rotation, especially late in games. Like, he's known for, bringing in the right guys on defense and knowing when to take them out. So kudos to him for having it figured out so early, because he was getting dogged pretty early on in Cleveland, obviously, because people were like, oh, he's just a LeBron puppet. He's only hired because he's LeBron's friend.
Yeah, which huge part of it. Huge part of that.
Fair criticism at the time for a bystander to think, but he's proved it on a new team with less talent at times, and he's done a great job, and he's very likable.
Yeah.
So I think like his coach of the year job or chances are obviously even better because it's from the media and they go based if they like it too.
Yeah, they love that storyline. I'd say he'd be a nominee for coach of the year. I still don't think he'll win it. I still think it'll be either Monty Williams or Cavs.
JB Bickerstaff.
Bickerstaff. But if he makes them into out of the play-in before, so like they finish as 5th or 6th seed, which is doable. It's pretty close from 5 to 9 there. Actually, just 5 to 8. It's doable. I think if you can do that, then he's going to become a nominee for coach of the year. But he's done a great job, obviously.
They got to surge a bit here, win some more games. Obviously, it's only the regular season that matters, but Monty Williams probably has the best case right now. He most definitely does, I should say, because he didn't win it last year when he should have. They gave it to Tom Thibodeau instead. And this year, the Suns have proved it again, and even more so. They're the number 1 seed. They're about to go over 60 wins. Like, it makes sense. Monty Williams deserves this. And another guy who's a big-time player is coach. Like, guys just love playing for him.
Yeah. Taylor Jenkins is in there too, but
Taylor Jenkins for sure.
Well, yeah, but we'll see what the Clippers can do. I think they have a possibility not even to make it in, out of the play-in. I think Timberwolves, out of all the play-in teams, I think Timberwolves are a lock to a playoff spot. I think it's between the Clippers and the Lakers. I mean, if Zion comes back too, I would have the Pelicans over both those teams.
Maybe, but
if Zion comes back and they
Zion
play beforehand.
I would be shocked if Zion came back. Like if he came back and like didn't play any regular season time and only came back for the playoffs. Like, I just don't see that happening.
He's already practicing full contact, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be news.
Yeah, I think I saw. Maybe not practicing full contact, but I know he's in the.
I don't even think he's been back at the
gym.
facility. He's been in like Portland this whole time.
Well, that's what the new report is, that he was back in practicing.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what it was, but I know he's back. So it's a possibility that he can come back this year still.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we should look into that. Well, that's great. I would love to see him. That would be fun.
Yeah, no, I want to see that trio.
Like he's exciting to watch. I want to see him be healthy. I want to see him be able to dunk the basketball again.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right here while we're doing it.
Yeah. While we're talking about it, I can give the audience a look into the window that is reality, and that is we are but mice on the ground eating crumbs from what they call the fun, and that is the government. Everyone, they have us under their thumb. That's the truth, and sometimes they wipe us under their bum like we're toilet paper. That's the truth.
Oh. He returned to New Orleans, and that's all it says, that he's been practicing.
He's returned to New Orleans. Is he eating enough gumbo?
On court. I hope so.
Is he eating enough? What else is good in New Orleans? They eat cornbread down there. They must. Like, cornbread is a southern thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I love cornbread. Maybe chili. In Cincinnati and Ohio, apparently they don't put beans in their chili.
And Zion was cleared to progress basketball activities. You know what? I think if he comes back next week and they get a week of playoff games, I think they can definitely make it out of the play-in. I think that's a scary team with Zion, Ingram. They're like one of the most exciting big threes that I kind of want to see, because CJ has always been one of the most underrated players in the league. Ingram's we haven't seen him on this stage yet. He hasn't been in the playoffs yet, has he?
No.
LeBron. He wasn't good with LeBron.
Lakers were trashed when he was there. They didn't make the playoffs the first year LeBron was there even.
I would love to see that. Oh, and Valanciunas. I think that team has enough star power where they could sneak up behind one of these first teams here.
Yeah,
maybe
it could be.
Knock the Grizzlies off.
Could be fun. Could be fun. I could see it being fun, but I'm believe it when you see it when it comes to Zion. So
yeah, we'll see. Well, hopefully more updates come out, and we can do a better video of that. But for now, I guess
no doubt. For now, we'll move on. This was a video originally about Tyloo, but Zion Williamson is on the way back, and he's coming for you. So hide your moms, hide your window, close your window.
Hide your windows. Hide them. Take them out of the wall.
Climbing in your windows, snatching your people up. We're moving on to the Detroit Pistons. We're talking about the brightness for them because they have a bright future. We're talking about some of the best young players in our league, including, including Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham recently had a triple-double the other night, 28 points to go with it, and he is dominating, looking out there like he could be a potential rookie of the year, but the media has already decided we got to give it to Evan Mobley. And when they latch onto their guy, they don't want to let go of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to change the media's mind. I think Cade is certainly top three. Him, Scotty, and Mobley for rookie of the year right now. My guy Franz is in fourth, but Cade's he arrived. He struggled hard. We talked about that. He came around. We said we weren't worried. Now here he is. We're not surprised. He's playing great. We knew he would because we've said it one time. We'll say it a million times. He was drafted because he's one of the best players who can improve and learn from what he does. And the role he's given, he's doing super well. I mean, they're telling this rookie to run the offense. This is your team. Do what you needed. Usually guys would melt. He's averaging 17, 5, and 5 the whole year. I think he's doing great, and I'm so excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, no doubt. He's the truth.
Yeah, and also one of the rarest things for small markets, I feel your pain, Alex feels your pain, is stars don't want to stay in small markets. So it's really refreshing to hear Jeremy Grant be like, no, I want to stay. I want to stay with the Pistons, the hopeless Pistons, you know?
People really it must be nice for him to, see a guy like Cade come in. He's like, oh, you know what? We're not that far off. Because when you get a guy that good, you don't need that much more because he's going to accelerate the rest of the guys around him. He's going to get so much better himself. And they have other good players around them too. Like Saddiq Bey is a great shooter. He's a solid defender. Great frame for the NBA. So, he just needs to stay in front of guys and not foul as much. But they've got a hustler and Isaiah Stewart as well. I'm not as high on him as some other people are, but his stats, I think, are just a bit weak this year. So, hopefully he can turn it around.
Yeah. That was one thing I noted is looking at that roster. I mean, yes, Saddiq Bey, you said it. He's going to be a great 3-and-D shooter on this team. Jeremy Grant obviously can be a good third or fourth option for a championship team. Marvin Bagley has even come in. I said he needed to change. He's not going to ever live up to be who he's supposed to or even what they drafted him at. But he's turning and looking like a nice offensive player with them. Certainly really, really great to see. But back on Frank Jackson, effort player. But Frank Jackson is always good to see on a team. I mean, he's with the Magic for New Orleans for a while.
He was on the Kings last year, right?
Kings last year. Yeah, he's just an effort player. This guy's gonna earn his money no matter what. And
those fringe guys, like they always work hard for their lunch, right? Like, you're gonna get a good effort out of him on defense, and I'll take that over a guy who's been, padded his whole life and is like, I'm not gonna do defense. Yeah,
I get that. That's certainly valuable, but. Isaiah Stewart. So let me get back to him. I was looking at that. I'm like, that's where they have to, like, they need not a dominant center, but they need a big that's just better, that doesn't get into foul trouble. I mean, Isaiah Stewart can be a good rebounder, can be a good offensive rebounder, but it's just inconsistency from night to night, and the role they're asking him to fit, he just can't do that. So I'd like to see them get I think Chet would be obviously great on this team. Victor Wembanyama in 2 years, maybe. But what do you do? Killian Hayes has probably lost his roster spot, right? Maybe not his spot, but his role in the starting.
I think it's just at this point, like Piston fans, they've all admitted, the smart ones at least have admitted that he's not gonna be anything more than a role player. Right. And for that, he's just drafted too high, and he's never going to be good enough to be a starter.
No, not on a championship team.
No way. Never on a championship team. The only guys on this team that could be starters on a championship team, Cade Cunningham, obviously. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Grant, sure. He's like the fourth or fifth best guy, maybe the third best if you've got really good 1 and 2. And then Saddiq Bey, sure, why not, is the fourth or fifth, but I think similar deal. Yeah,
very similar deal. Obviously, I think you're right, and those three could be, but that's assuming you have one other superstar and maybe a star center.
Exactly.
And shooting guard, and that, which is not disbelievable. It's not totally impossible. I mean, you can look at what the Grizzlies did with just a really good star and a bunch of guys who fit well next to him. I
They
think
just got they've drafted really well. The Grizzlies have lately. Like, Jaren Jackson, he was the 4th overall pick. That's the top pick. Next to John Morant, the number 2 overall pick. So that's their 2 guys right there. After that, they drafted really well, getting Desmond Bane. They trade up this year to get Zaire Williams, but 10th overall pick, still 10th or top 10. But otherwise, they traded for Steven Adams. But yeah, they really just have the 2 guys, and after that, they've nailed their picks. So the Pistons could do the same thing. They get a really good guy in this next draft because they're going to have a high pick. Then maybe they're too good next year to get a high pick because maybe Cade just is phenomenal next year. Whoever they draft is phenomenal too, maybe. And then they just have, they just don't get a very high pick.
Yeah.
Then they have to rely more on their scouting department. And they have to make sure that they nail the pick. It's harder to do.
That's really where the hardest part of the rebuild, right? When you start getting better, being better because you have your 2 guys. Look at what happened with the Trailblazers. What's happening with the Grizzlies did it right. I'm trying to look at the Kings. So once you start getting better, and you need to draft those middle guys better, those late lottery, those early in the teens. You need to draft those guys well, and that's what the Grizzlies did. They pulled out Dylan Brooks. They pulled out Bane. They pulled out who's that guy they just drafted this year? No, not this year. Last year. Not last year. Anyway, there's another guy that's just slipping my mind. You need to hit those mid-draft picks. If you don't, then you're just wasting. And it's just a waste of roster spot that you could have, or have assets to trade to get a star.
Yeah, and no doubt. The next thing, they need to just get that second guy. It's easier said than done. There are teams out there that are still searching for the second guy. The Dallas Mavericks have been searching for a long time. The New Orleans Pelicans, they had been searching, but I would argue they have that with Brandon Ingram. But a lot, the Kings, they feel they just found their second guy.
Exactly. But
stuff.
A lot of hope
find that second guy.
Yeah, even though they're only 18-48, I always say development is great to see when you're losing, and they're seeing a lot of development. They're still exciting. There's still reason to watch these games. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Another 2-3 years, they'll be on I think they can be in the same trajectory as the Grizzlies or the Cavaliers.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll see, where they're at. You're seeing the prototypical paper blueprint rebuild in Cleveland right now. You could follow that. That'd be great too. It's just about finding talent. You never know where that position is going to be. Since we're in the NBA, we have the draft lottery. So you ultimately don't know where your pick's going to be till draft lottery night. And in that case, just hoping that you get the right luck on your side.
Right.
A couple of ping pong balls decided that the Grizzlies were going to be a phenomenal team going forward. That's just how it goes. Yeah. And the Pistons, they finally got the first overall pick for the first time in their franchise's history to get Cade Cunningham. A great year to do it.
Yep.
So we'll see what they can do. Maybe luck's on their side 2 years in a row.
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope so.
Yeah. Let's move on. That was Detroit. We're talking about the Eastern Conference shakeup. Overall, just the change that is going around here. We're talking about the overall seeds. We have the Chicago Bulls falling mostly. Notably, they are 0-9 against Miami, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. And then they're 38-17 against everyone else. But overall, they're also 0-14 against the top 6 records in the league because they're 0-5 against Phoenix, Golden State, and Memphis. So, to not pull out a single win against any of the top 3 teams in both conferences is just wild to me.
Yeah, it's a little alarming to look at. We were talking about this before, where they're obviously a great regular season team, but can they do it in the playoffs? Are they legitimate contenders? And we weren't sure at the time. I think that's really struggling. I still think that's not the whole story. I still think they can make some noise in the playoffs. However, that's very alarming. It's something to be secure about. Because those games, even though they're during the during the regular season, most of those teams use it as practice. Like, this is like a playoff environment. We know we're going to meet you in the playoffs. We're going to get serious. And if you've dropped all of them, struggles.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not encouraging for how they're going to fare in the playoffs. Right now they are still like in firm position to possibly get a top half and get home court advantage, but not necessarily firm. Actually, it's pretty shaky over there. So you got teams like the Miami Heat, though, playing sturdy and firm. You got Tyler Hero, who had 31 points the other day. He had 1 steal with that, 12 of 18 overall. Only 1 free throw to get to 31 points. And since the All-Star break, he is averaging 25 points per game. And his Miami Heat, they are the number 1 overall seed at 44-23, 2 games ahead of the Bucks. So this, I think, is a good opportunity to see if the Heat are going to actually show up in the playoffs again this year. Obviously, they made it to the finals a couple of years ago. People say, oh, that was the phony Mickey Mouse finals. Are they going to prove us wrong?
Yeah, the Heat. So I think the Heat, if they can stay in that first spot, I think they have set their roads to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that is, if they can stay, that's the best timeline they can get, because they would face.
You might face the Nets first round, though.
You could face. So, like, I can talk about the Nets, but here, so the Nets aren't as.
We'll get more into the Nets,
yeah.
but
Toronto.
Continue talking about the Heat.
Yeah, Toronto, you'd want to face Charlotte, Atlanta. They're not looking that great. And typically, you'd think they're scary, but it's been a tough season for them. But even after that, you're going to face the winner of Chicago and Boston, both experienced teams in the playoffs. However, like, out of all of the teams in the East, those two are pretty. I'd rather face them than the Sixers or Bucks, right?
Yeah, I'd be scared of Boston right now, honestly. Like, the Sixers and the Bucks are both solid, but most of the main guys on the Celtics have done more than any of the Sixers have done in the playoffs in their careers. So in my mind, why not? And they're playing well right now. They're rebounding a lot better. Like, the Celtics are almost in the 3 seed, believe it or not. Like, they are only a game and a half out of the 3 seed. So you never know. Like, those guys are coming up.
Yeah, this East is wide open. I mean, the Celtics really started looking like they're figuring it out. After all the shakeup they've had, they've tried things. They've had a completely different roster like 2 years ago. So they've had a lot to figure out, and it looks like they're starting to get all their roles. Everyone's fitting where they need to fit, and they're looking dangerous. They're looking like a real team, and Tatum's out there. He's making that Giannis jump. He's making
44 points the other night.
He's insane right now, and he's showing. He's like, I'm a superstar like Giannis. I'm a superstar like LeBron.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I can lead a team. Like,
no doubt.
Talk about Luka. I can do it for my team too.
He's a top 10 player right now in the league. In terms of guys who are healthy, he's top 10. So,
in terms of guys
no doubt. Yeah,
but
like he's playing so well right now, and like, I could see them really carrying in the playoffs. But some other teams here, obviously, are the Milwaukee Bucks. I actually believe, have the best shot at the finals to repeat here, just because they have Giannis and, potential MVP candidate, and alongside him, the best defending point guard in the league, Jrue Holiday. And, besides that, you've got multiple-time All-Star Chris Middleton, who averages over 20 points a game. So I think, the Milwaukee Bucks have as good of a shot as anybody, and people got to watch out for them.
Yeah, I'd say they're my favorite again after watching the Nets. I thought the Nets were my favorite coming out of that trade deadline because they were so deep, but it doesn't. I'm not sure about it right now. Like, the Nets aren't.
Yeah, it hasn't paid off
great.
yet.
Like, it's not. Yeah, you're not seeing it. Ben Simmons
hasn't played either.
You don't even know how it's going to be with Simmons on the floor. What's your starting lineup going to be?
Is he ever going to play?
Yeah, so that's a lot of, and even if they all come, they're going to have to learn to play together. I don't think they can make the finals. The Bucks are my favorite to go there. They're consistently great. MVP. Cash Money is still, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he has flashes, but I love Jrue. Jrue's best defending guard in the league.
Yeah, no doubt. He's exciting. I'm glad that he was able to win a championship last year. Like that's a great team, and I think they're poised to repeat. Right alongside them in the standings is the Philadelphia 76ers. They've been on absolute fire since getting James Harden, and it makes sense that him and Joel Embiid are working out together. Now that I can see it, like they're just in such unison, and um, even
Yeah.
outside of that, they've got a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who's almost like a third, third head of the three-headed monster at this point.
Yeah, him and Tobias Harris could both fill the same role, but you have both of them on the same team, so like it's just great for depth. Then you have another that guy that can hit shots. We'll talk about more about how great Tyrese Maxey is later, but the 76ers, I'd put them as two. I'd say they're the second best team in the East. They have the second best chance to get to the finals. If the standings are the way they are, then it's going to be interesting. One team we don't expect will make the conference finals because Philly and Bucks are on the same side of the bracket. So it'd be interesting to see who makes the conference finals if the standings were to stay or similar to the same.
It'll be similar to last year, with like the Bucks and the Nets had faced in the second round. So
right,
the Hawks ended up making it to the conference finals. So
yeah, and that side of the bracket's pretty wide open. I was just saying, like the Heat are tough, the Nets are tough. They can get up there. Celtics obviously huge threat. Bulls, we'll see. So I'm glad that the East is now like this great competitive area rather than it was a few years ago where they're talking about just abolishing the conferences.
Yeah, I know. Like you literally can't say that the West is even better than the East anymore. Like people have been like wary to admit it, but the tide has switched completely. Like the East is simply better than the West at this point.
Yeah.
Like we may still have the Warriors and the Suns over here, but it's not the Warriors of old. And the Suns are amazing, but that's just one team. The East have like 16. Well, let me look at the standings again. They have 5 teams, like okay, 4 teams. No, I don't. Yeah, like 4 or 5 teams that could make the finals, and I win like bad 9.
Yeah,
like I could see it. Like for sure, the Heat wouldn't be surprised.
Nope.
For sure, Milwaukee Bucks wouldn't be surprised. Nope. So Philadelphia 76ers, and then the Brooklyn Nets, I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
And then maybe the Boston Celtics. Maybe.
Yeah, Celtics. Maybe the Bulls. But I got to see a first round from them, see how they do. But if Bulls do well in the first round, then I'm like, all right, well, let's see if they can make it to the
we'll see. I mean, they played amazing early in the regular season here. They've been slipping, but they're going to get Alex Caruso back, it sounds like, and Patrick Williams.
That's great. And then Lonzo shortly after, I'm sure, hopefully before the playoffs.
That would be awesome. I mean, to get all 3 of them back would be incredible.
Mm-hmm. Right. Tough conference, though.
Yeah, no, tough conference. It's going to be a fun playoff to watch, no doubt, because I just have no idea who's going to end up winning it, and that's exciting to me. Like I'm going to tune in. I want to find out who wins it. I just need to.
Hell yeah.
We're going to move on from the Eastern Conference. I just want to throw in a quick nugget here. Make this its own video. Tyrese Haliburton, he has been an absolute gem for the Indiana Pacers lately.
Yeah.
People were upset that he got traded from the Kings in the first place, and he's proving why. Because an increased role here, he over the last 7 games with the Pacers, he's averaged 20 points per game, 10 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals on 52% shooting, 47% from 3, and 84% from the line. He's just been on an absolute tear. He just turned 22 the other day, and honestly, looking like a cornerstone for this franchise. He just seems to always get better.
Yeah, I mean, it's super nice when you get a franchise point guard like that in a trade. And he was certainly a steal. I get why the Kings did it, and the Pacers are super happy now.
It could end up being a win-win trade.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I hope it does. But these players, he's just playing outrageous. I mean, advanced stats still don't say he's good, but he's on a bad team. Defensive rating plus minus is going to be off when you're on a bad team that's knowingly bad. But
yeah, he's still got a ways to go as a defender. But offensively, like he's giving you a ton to be excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, 65 true shooting percentage is insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, especially with that whack jumper.
Oh yeah, and 20% usage can only be better. 101, his pace can get a lot better too. However, he's certainly still a better player. He's great. Super easy to build around. I'm super excited to see what they do. They have guys that like O'Shea Brissett, Jackson next to him. We'll see what happens.
Miles Turner, they still have.
Miles Turner and Brogdon, I don't know. They probably won't be around much longer. Maybe Miles.
I don't know. Miles Turner said he was excited to be there after they traded Sabonis because he wanted just more of a role, and now he's getting that.
Yeah, I can see that. But I don't think Brogdon will be here much longer than he has to be.
They could trade him and get something back.
Yeah, they could.
And get some picks.
Certainly can. Haliburton's great. Love him. He's always liked him. Top 3 rookie of that class.
Yeah, I mean, out of that class, like,
Edwards.
I mean, it's him, Edwards, and Ball. Like, no one else. I mean, who else would even be up there? I don't know. I don't even know what comes to my mind that's even been good in that class. Otherwise, like, obviously, Wiseman's just been hurt the whole time.
Cole Anthony, the number 1.
Cole Anthony's been fine. Yeah, he's been fine.
Great. But not that high. Yeah, he's still he's not as good as Tyrese. But yeah, that's your point.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we'll move on from that. Tyrese Haliburton, I think it's only a second year, obviously. So going in next year, it's only going to get better. I think you could see him averaging throughout the whole season, 23 and 9, and it would be really exciting. So I think you're going to see him, maybe get as much press as a guy like Darius Garland getting this year. Maybe eventually like John Morant, like a guy like Darius Garland. I think next year is going to get as much press as like John Morant's getting this year. It's just kind of like the way it's going.
Yeah, for sure. One guy in that class. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tyrese Maxi. No, that's it. Tyrese Maxi. He's in that.
Oh, Tyrese Maxi's in that class. Oh yeah. I mean, I would take Haliburton over Maxi.
Same.
But they're both really talented players. But Maxi was drafted a lot lower, so it's been impressive to see him. But we're going to move on to LeBron versus MJ 1-on-1. Who could possibly win that matchup? We're not talking about who is the greatest of all time. Like, that's been beaten to death. Like, everyone has their opinion. It's hard to shake it. And at this point, LeBron's probably not going to change your mind if you're an MJ fan, no matter what he does. I think he would have to win like 4 straight championships for MJ fans to even consider it, like starting this year. But in terms of 1-on-1, if they were on blacktop, they were outside, and they were just playing to 21, who do you think would win that matchup?
I'm assuming it's prime versus prime. So like prime, it's not like today.
Yeah, not today.
Make sure that's clear.
We're talking prime versus prime.
I think it's Jordan. I mean, even though Jordan is my greatest player of all time, but I also think Jordan would beat him in a 1-on-1. LeBron.
Crazy. It's asinine. He is so much smaller than LeBron. LeBron would just bolt. Yes, it does. 1-on-1 size matters, bro.
Size does matter. However, Michael Jordan has been proven that he can guard guys bigger than him. Karl Malone is the same exact size as LeBron, 6'8", 250 pounds. And
yes, but throughout the whole game, he had a big man helping him on the low if he needed, help on the weak side. But in a 1-on-1 matchup, LeBron's just going to post him up.
But so the difference between LeBron and LeBron's offense and Jordan's defense is there's not as much flexibility. There's more flexibility because of how good of a defensive player Jordan is, opposed to
that's true.
He's an amazing defensive player. And Jordan on offense. Jordan's going to get whatever he wants because LeBron's just not good at defense. He has to be in a team environment with other with other defensive player of the year candidates to be good at defense. LeBron has
I
chosen.
don't know. I mean,
I
he
think that
almost won
matchup
Defensive
anytime.
Player of the Year in Miami. Who was next to him that could have also won?
Chris Bosh.
He was not as good a defender as
He's a
LeBron
better
was.
defender than LeBron. That's why that was like his major
Incorrect.
thing.
No, incorrect, sir.
But so I'm looking at that like Jordan's better defensive player. He can slow LeBron down more than LeBron can slow him down, and that's it. I mean, that's what I see. I mean, he's only 3 inches shorter.
Yeah, only 3 inches. 3 inches is a big deal in the NBA.
It's 60 pounds lighter, but still, that's
60 pounds, bro. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they're both going to be really hard to guard anyway. I feel like it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, it would be an offensive matchup. Like, it would be close.
Yeah, but I mean, only 6 guards have ever won Defensive Player of the Year, and Jordan won it in '87 while averaging 30 points. It's hard to compete with a guy like that.
No, it's arguably possibly inarguably the best season a player's ever had.
Yeah, scored 30 times in his career, and somebody has only scored 50 against the team while he was playing once. That's how good his defense actually was. He only had one, and he also only had one game with less than 10, but he had 5 games more than 60. These are just some crazy stats for Jordan. But like, how do you? I get like if there's one guy to compare, it's LeBron. And on one-on-one, don't get me wrong, LeBron's gonna get whatever he wants. However, Michael Jordan is more equipped to stop LeBron than LeBron is to stop Michael Jordan. And that's where it ends. I think both of them are gonna get whatever they want offensively, but Jordan's gonna get more stops, and that's gonna be the deciding factor in the one-on-one.
Yeah, we'll see. Once they lace it up, we'll find out for sure.
Yeah.
Let's say
both wait till they're 70.
Yeah. They finally 50. Do it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, I think we're in agreement that the ultimate winner would be Kobe Bryant. If he was around today, he would have clapped both these motherfuckers.
Kobe's barely in my top 10 hot take.
Whoa. Oh, geez.
Another day.
Another day. Another dollar. We're going to talk about Tyrese Maxey, a hidden gem that was discovered this year by Daryl Morey. Absolutely killing it this year, averaging over 6 assists per game. What is he up to, like 8 assists per game now?
Tyrese Maxey?
No, it's not that much.
He was like hanging around 5 assists.
Lately, I think he's been getting a lot.
No, lately he's gotten. That's the only stat that went down. Actually, James Harden. Assist. But no, he's been doing great. He's 17 points per game, 4.5 assists. Listen to this efficiency of a second-year player on a win now team. He has 48 from the field, 42 from 3, 86 from the line. He's so close to a 50, 40, 90. Second year in the league, and when he was only next to this is before. This isn't even the stats with Harden. This was before when he only had one superstar. That's insane.
Yeah, no, the development on this guy has been great. I mean, he was drafted really low, like he slipped in the draft unnecessarily. Like he was fantastic at Kentucky. He was really fun to watch. And when he was going into the draft, like he could, like one of his main things was his energy, just his overall drive. And it's like, that's something I look for in a prospect because he's going to continue to try and get better. He's not a Ben Simmons. This is a guy who works hard at his craft and wants to shoot. He's a baller. I mean, you saw him pull out the step back, the classic Harden step back in a game already. It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, this guy is going to keep getting better. Only his second year in the league.
Oh, yeah. He's insane. And like during the draft, he was the one I was hoping the Magic would get. They got Cole Anthony. I was still fine with that draft, but he was like, it was coming down to, I think there was like pick 12. And I was like, come on, Tyrese Maxey. And he's shown to be great. I mean, he's confident. He's an effort player. He's able to look at a play and read a defense while he's on defense or offense. He's able to read it on both ends, like the ongoing play for the opposite team. He can see defensive scheme. Like he's such a smart player, and I think he can maybe on a different team be a superstar in this league. Maybe not with the room he has on the 76ers, but I think he can get there, honestly. It's not
I
talked about
think,
enough.
well, I think he can certainly be the third best player on a championship team. I think expecting him to be more than that is friendly, but I'm excited to see where he goes. I no doubt, I think he's just going to continue to grow being on this team, and he's going to get some awesome playoff opportunities. Might win a championship with the squad. We don't know. They look like the real deal, though.
Yeah, I mean they do. He's definitely a most improved candidate, if not the guy. With Miles Bridges taking a few steps back recently. Uh, he's certainly up there with what he has. He's a very sneaky player. He slides off ball, very Steph Curry like. That's one thing I really liked watching him. Does what has to be the coach's favorite player on the team. Does whatever he needs. Like he's get down there getting everything. But to look at his numbers when Harden came back, and this is very interesting for me. So you would think, so Harden's joined the team. You would think his scoring is going to go down, but it doesn't. The only thing that goes down is his assists and his free throw just by a little bit. Once Harden has come in, he's averaging 21 points. I mistyped this. 54 from the field, 51 from three. Granted, that's only on 10, 12 games, and then 84 from the free throw, and then 2.4 assists. So he's getting a lot less touches, but he's playing great off ball, and you can only ask so much from your third or fourth option from that. That's insane.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is they needed a guy to step up. This is a team that didn't look like they had a lot of depth, a couple of years ago, and they had traded a couple of guys to get Jimmy Butler, and then they had lost him. And then they had traded some valuable picks and players to get Tobias Harris. And so it was damn, are these? And then he hasn't, necessarily made everyone feel super great about his talent and contract mixed up, but they needed to get some more talent. They get a guy like Tyrese Maxey that fills a role immediately and is fun to watch, takes some sweet threes, and they've got a guy like Matisse Thybulle who's young as well. So they've been hitting on their draft picks lately. Like we've said it before, that your scouting department is what changes your team. That is what makes you successful. When you hit on these draft picks that are late in the draft like that is what continues your success, what keeps you going for a long time. It's what you're seeing with teams like the Raptors, how they're continue to be relevant rather than, be bad just because they lose a guy like Kawhi or Kyle Lowry. When you got guys like Joel Embiid buying into what you're doing, you're able to bring in James Harden. You've got a guy like Tyrese elevated, being his best self. The sky is the limit. And this is a team that could potentially win the championship this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm with you. You got to hit those picks. I think my last thing I had on Tyrese was that he's the most versatile role player in the NBA. I know people don't want to think of him as a role player because he's averaging 17 points per game, but I mean, look, he's the fourth option on this team. I think that he's probably on that line for role player, but he's obviously the most versatile. You can get whatever you need. You need him to score 20 points that game, he'll do it. You need him to guard the best player, he'll try to do it. He's there. That's what he's Swiss Army knife.
No doubt. He's a Philadelphia 76er, and they are happy to have him. So we're going to close it up. This is Strictly Ball Business, episode 32. We've had a good time. Yeah, we've had a good time. We were talking about the shakeup of the league as a whole. Lots going on. If you are not already subscribed to Strictly Ball Business, you can do that right about now. You can shoot a like on this video as well. If you've stuck around this long, I mean, kudos. Love you. And
Great.
Please subscribe. If you stuck around this long, you're not subscribed. I don't know who you are, what you're doing, what you have against us, but subscribe. So Dalton, anything else from you before we sign off?
Yeah, if you made it this far, comment below and tell me that you made this far, because it's the only way. If you comment, I will send you a fruit basket.
Our average watchability isn't this long. I would be surprised if anyone saw this conversation.
And that's why they're getting rewarded with a fruit basket. You hear me?
Fruit.
I will order you a fruit basket.
If you're listening right now, you comment and we'll send you a fruit basket.
You will comment, we'll find you, we'll message you, we'll get your address. fruit basket.
Facts. Fruit basket. Only the
I'm gonna
best.
ask,
Strictly
do you
ball
like
business.
Berries or tropical?
Berries are tropical. Strictly ball business. We'll see you guys next time.
Hey guys, like and subscribe to our videos. I like talking balls. You guys like hearing about balls. Come on, just do it. Press the button.